So Justin Baldoni, the Wayfarer parties, and even his attorney, Brian Friedman, have been hit with a total of 9 requests for sanctions by Blake Lively. Last night, they responded to her latest request for sanctions against Melissa Nathan. And with that, they attached exhibits that contain some text messages that we haven't seen before. I want to go over their response, and then also we'll look at some of the text messages, which really show this pattern of Justin feeling betrayed. I won't go through all of the text messages this morning, but we'll take a look at some of the ones that stood out, thanks to somebody on the Team Justin Baldoni subreddit who put that together. We have motions for summary judgment that'll be coming out tomorrow, so I know that I'm going to be really busy with that, so I have been trying to get some work done in some other areas before then. Plus, I was traveling a couple times in the last month, following along with another case, but I definitely haven't forgotten this one. So be keeping an eye out tomorrow. We expect both Justin's side and Blake's side to file a motion for summary judgment, and who knows what that's going to look like. Okay, so this is their letter response to Blake's asking for sanctions against Melissa Nathan. It says, specifically, Lively asked the court to order Nathan to reproduce the challenged documents, the 38 documents listed in Exhibit A to the Bender Declaration, without redactions within a week of the court's order, and reimburse Miss Lively for reasonable attorney's fees and expenses incurred by Miss Nathan's failure to comply with the order. Like it mentions down here in the footnote, Blake Lively contended that those documents were improperly redacted. Plaintiff's motion for sanctions fails for the simple reason that it does not stem from the violation of any court order. A district court may only impose sanctions under Rule 37B for non-compliance with a clearly articulated order of the court requiring specified discovery. And this is some of the same argument they were making when she asked for sanctions against Jamie Heath because she wanted to see more of their home birth videos, more than she had ever been shown in the past, which is just insane. The order required the Wayfarer parties to modify the redactions in their previous productions to replace black box redactions with text box redactions, indicating the reason for the redaction. It is undisputed that Nathan did so. On August 13th, before the court-ordered deadline of September 2nd, the Wayfarer parties, including Nathan, reproduced all documents previously redacted in the properly required format, noting the reason for the redaction. Lively argues that in addition to requiring the Wayfarer parties to reproduce redacted documents with a notation reflecting the reason for the redaction, the order also required Nathan to produce 38 documents without any redactions at all. But the order does not compel Nathan to remove the redactions on any of the documents she had previously produced, let alone require the production of the specific 38 documents Lively now seeks to compel in an unredacted format. Nor does the order state that any of Nathan's redactions were improperly overbroad. This is not surprising because Lively never made any such argument, nor did she request that Nathan produce the 38 challenge documents without redactions in her omnibus motion to compel. So in footnote 4 down here, they're explaining that she only said their redactions were improper because they didn't explain the basis for withholding that information. Wayfarer then said, okay, they would modify the redactions, so it would indicate the reason for the redaction. Therefore, Lively's sanctions motion must be denied because there is no clearly articulated order of the court requiring specific discovery. Lively's sanctions motion is a thinly disguised, untimely motion to compel, which again is the same kind of thing they said about Jamie Heath and the motion for sanctions against him, which I think came out like shortly before this one, where she had tried to get sanctions against Melissa Nathan. In Lively's own words, it is well settled that the operative time to raise and move on discovery issues is before the close of fact discovery. And that was set at September 30th, so it's been over a month. Lively first raised the issue regarding Nathan's redactions on September 23rd, over a month after the Nathan documents had been reproduced with the proper notations. While Lively agreed to identify which of the 38 documents had allegedly been produced by third parties in an unredacted form, she did not attempt to do so until October 16th. She then proceeded to file this motion a month after the close of fact discovery, fashioning it as a sanctions motion, attempting to avoid the untimeliness of her motion to compel. Even if the court were to consider the substance of Lively's motion to compel, it should be denied. Nathan redacted non-responsive material from documents, including those related to her other public relations clients and her personal life. Lively has not demonstrated that the redactions on the 38 challenged documents were overbroad, or if they were, that the entire document must be produced without redactions. Lively cherry-picks some of the 38 challenge documents she contends demonstrate that the redactions somehow deprived Miss Lively of relevant and responsive material necessary for Miss Lively to prosecute her claims. Lively's selections prove the opposite. Her primary claim is that Nathan improperly redacted information regarding the digital campaign. There was no smear campaign, but okay, I guess we're still going to have to talk about this until it gets formally thrown out. But Lively neglects to mention that the same document, originally produced on July 16th, was reproduced by Nathan on August 22nd without any redactions. Lively also fails to disclose that the same document was produced without redactions by Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, and Jen Abel as early as July 16th. In addition, Lively herself produced the same document without redactions because it had been subpoenaed by her company Van Zandt from Jones Works before she filed her lawsuit against the Wayfarer parties. Similarly, Lively also misleadingly asserts that Nathan's phone records were improperly redacted, ignoring the later reproduction of an unredacted set. Nathan's phone records were produced as required by the order, and all redactions were removed from Nathan's phone records and reproduced by September 11th. Regardless of whether Nathan personally produced an unredacted version of a document bearing her Bates number prefix, if an unredacted version of a document was produced in the litigation by anyone, Lively reasonably cannot argue that she was deprived of critical evidence. Lively's argument that some of the other documents on her list are essentially unreadable is also unpersuasive. Lively's argument is based on a mischaracterization of Nathan's deposition testimony about one of the documents. When pressed by Lively's counsel, Nathan merely admitted that, as with all redacted documents, including those produced by Lively, it is possible that it might be a little bit easier to read if the document had not been redacted. Importantly, Lively does not argue, nor is it the case, that she was unable to question Nathan about the unredacted and only responsive portion of the sole document she claims was unreadable. Okay, and so like I said, I can't go through all the text messages this morning, but there were some of these that I wanted to point out. This was posted to the Team Justin Baldoni subreddit. You can go find it there. These are texts from Justin. It says, "What the hell is this? Really, Sony?" And then there's some attachments of, looks like some press stuff. "This is all wrong, and they didn't buy the rights to produce the film. They didn't produce the film. This is a blatant lie about her advancing domestic violence combos." This one says, "Hi, I'm Sony, and I'm going to cozy up to Ryan and erase Justin. Let the fans handle, I guess. It's just crazy. Sony has no spine, and yet, as Jamie says, they are doing their job." And you can see he felt like deeply betrayed by all of this. Colleen just texted this to us. Colleen Hoover, who authored the book that the movie was based on. "First time we've heard from her. Can someone please send Jamie the actual context of what I said so he can respond to Colleen? This should be on video recorded from the rap. I never said I changed his fate," and they're talking about Ryle's ending, I guess. Ryle being the male lead who played opposite Blake Lively's Lily. "I never said I changed his fate. I said I didn't want to see him at the end of the movie as it was too complicated to explain how he was co-parenting and would draw too many people in, and she agreed." Colleen agreed. "This has nothing to do with the book, and we don't control the rap and their headlines, just as we don't control all the negative and untrue things she and Blake have been saying about me and the controversy they created. We haven't leaked anything, and we've taken the high road the whole time, even after she betrayed me and ghosted me. I'm sorry I don't have the capacity just right now in this moment to be the bigger person, and to do that, you have to remember that it was her betrayal that landed me in the hospital. It's been devastating to me. This message makes my blood boil." And then here I think they're kind of brainstorming what Jamie Heath is going to respond to her. And it says, "Justin is not out to hurt anybody, and there hasn't been one lie that has come out of his mouth, and all he's been doing is singing the praises of you and everybody else and sticking to the message of the movie, which you knew he cared about from the beginning. He asked you about the second book to understand the trajectory of Ryle's character as he was developing the script, which you also understood as he included you on that decision. The above headline is taken completely out of context, but that is not our doing, as there is a PR war going on, and we are the ones that are not leaking anything or trying to destroy anybody. This entire situation was set up to be a smear campaign against Justin, and it clearly backfired. Justin didn't want any of this, as he's loved and adored you for 5 years. If you actually read the interview, you'll see he says exactly as it happened, which was a decision that you also supported. It had nothing to do with the second book or not wanting to be a part of it as an actor or changing Ryle's fate. It had everything to do with, after seeing an edit of the movie, realizing that we did not need to open up a can of worms and show an abuser, and that would be Ryle, co-parenting without showing all of the necessary work that had to happen to make that possible. You also know this as he involves you every step of the way. Wayfarer is also not talking and are not firing back. We are continually speaking highly of everyone. We did not ask to be in the situation. This was all creative and easily could have been avoided." And then this appears to be, more from Justin. "I want to share how difficult it has been for me too, especially when the film, which I poured so much of my heart into, was taken out of my hands. I've remained silent as fans began to wonder why I wasn't part of the press or even the photos at the premiere. Being uninvited from Book Bonanza without any explanation left me feeling lost and hurt. not being allowed to share the premiere with you and instead waiting in a basement until I was escorted to a separate theater with my friends and family who had come to celebrate was incredibly painful. Still, I did so out of respect for the movie and not wanting to derail the celebration of it. And then here Justin is sharing how Isabela Ferrer thanked him, and he's saying, now she won't even say my name. And here's the text from Isabela she sent to Justin. It says, hey, just got my film developed from when we were shooting, so here's the sweet pic. I also have to say thank you so much for an incredible experience on my first film. I still can't shake the feeling of it all because it truly was life-changing for me. You are such a wonderful, smart, and sincere director, and you created such a comfortable, safe space for me to feel like I could fully step into this role. I couldn't have asked for a more welcoming environment. It will stay with me for the rest of my life. See you soon, whether in the fall or later, and I hope you're doing well. And remember, this is the lady whose lawyer, blasted Justin in all those headlines saying they were harassing her somehow by trying to send her a subpoena. Like, she was fully responsive to Blake Lively's subpoena, didn't make a big deal out of it at all. But then when Justin had to try to subpoena her, she made such a huge deal out of it and then made it sound like he had harassed someone else on the film, which was absolutely not true. And then Justin is quoting what she had sent to him. Such a comfortable, safe space. And have a ton of fun bro-friend texts with me and Brandon having a bromance for a year and then nothing. So Brandon also just kind of spaced on him. And then Jen Abel here says, flagging that Alex reposted your post. Alex Sachs, I think she was one of the producers. So everything that they're showing is consistent with the story that Wayfarer has told since the beginning. Blake Lively is now spinning out because she seemingly cannot really find any evidence to support her claims of a smear campaign, let alone the harassment claims. And as more of this stuff comes out, you just see how heartbreaking it was for Justin and his team after pouring themselves into that film for, I don't even remember how many years. All right, that's all I got for now, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye.